Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, it's our wedding.
Now, Lippy.
Hello.
This is episode 100.
Is it actually?
Yeah, and I think it calls for a sound effect.
Oh, go on then.
Yep, enough of that. But
That was quite loud in my ear, actually.
Yeah, it was quite loud, wasn't it? so, in addition to being 100 episodes, it's also the day before your wedding, and we are delighted to welcome a guest. We have Duckboy with us. Hello, Duckboy.
Very glad to be here. Long time listener, first time talker.
I wish that could be the same as said of Lippy, but I've got another special effect here.
Ooh.
Oh, very good. We're going to miss that. I don't think we get any bells.
No bells.
Actually, I was thinking that as I was looking for it. You're not in a church, are you? You're in a beautiful orangery in an old hotel.
Bring your own bells.
So what I want to do, I want to go all the way back to the start and talk about how you two met.
Oh.
Because that's quite a nice story.
It's all right, actually, how we met, our story.
Yeah, I think so.
Weirdly, where we now live, there's a hotel. And I was there as a wedding planner, and you were there as a, what did you call it? Logistics?
IT and logistics.
IT and logistics. Basically,
person.
He moved furniture. That's
Odd
what
job
he did.
man.
Odd job man.
Bag boy.
Yeah, couldn't do any IT, so I don't know why that was in their name. And that's where we met, yeah. Venue we both worked at.
Fantastic. And there was a story about going past a window, which I think is worthy of repeating.
Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah. So when we were first starting, I mean, 1 or 2 dates in, and you're obviously trying to be on your best form and best behaviour all the time. Part of my duties at work were to roll tables up a small slope opposite Laura's office window, which I was very acutely aware she could see out of. I often forgot how to walk properly and was in my own head about not being sure quite the correct way to walk. And furthermore, I did smash some bottles outside the office, which caused quite a scene.
It did.
To be cleared up at one time, which is...
But why did you smash the bottles? Because he was running away from a wasp.
Oh, yeah, there's that as well. Yeah.
There was a wasp.
That's completely understandable.
Well, wasps, they congregate around smashed bottles, I find.
Well, the glass,
when there's like wine and
wine.
things like that. So it's a perfect storm.
Excellent. That's such a nice story.
Yeah,
Really
sign of
nice.
things to come, I suppose.
Yeah. Yes, quite. I often find it's better to show your softer side rather than your macho side. But then as I don't have a macho side, can't really say.
Yeah, fortunately, much the same there. Yeah, just work with what you've got.
Excellent. And now, proposal. Now, before we go to the proposal bit, we had a weekend at your place when we were replacing some decking.
We is generous.
We was very generous for that.
Well, unfortunately, due to the odd size of the decking, you had to go and get some replacements with Wife of Grumpy. And Chris and I were left to do some man stuff with circular saws and power tools. And I remember Chris saying, I've got a question for you. Now, I thought it might have been something IT related or car related. But no, you dropped the bombshell. And I was very pleased that you'd been traditional and asked. And I did think about saying something smart and thought better of it. And then you explained what you were going to do. And then you said, I told my dad and you and nobody else knows. Can you keep it to yourself? Now, I'm not particularly good being cross-examined when I've got a secret, and I just knew it was going to be a nightmare. And it was 6 weeks, was it, between?
Yeah, there was actually still quite a few days and weeks to go.
Yeah, going into Edinburgh. But on the drive home from yours, I got the 3rd degree. What did you talk about? Well, we talked about the Formula One, which was on, fortunately.
Yeah.
And we talked about decking, and that was about it, really. Or a bit about work. Well, nothing about weddings. No, nothing about weddings. No. God, look at that car over there. It's a very odd shade of green. So every distraction I could come up with. And unfortunately, then the interest sort of died down a bit. But I have to say I was relieved when I got the whoops from downstairs on, I think it was on the Friday, wasn't it,
Yes.
of your trip to Edinburgh. And yes, I was quite relieved because I don't like
very
keeping
well
a secret.
played as well.
Well, I
well.
leak information. It's not good.
Yes, but you're not the only one that leaks information. Wife of Grumpy cannot keep a secret. To save her, you don't even have to pressure her slightly to get it out of her.
Oh, no.
She'll just know something about you and smile, and then you know she knows something that she's not meant to know.
Well, I can safely say it didn't come from me. I did manage to keep stum.
Yes, I did not have a clue it was going on.
Very good.
Did you have any suspicions yourself, actually, when I was going to ask?
No, I thought you were going to ask about cars or something.
Oh, good.
Completely different.
That was a secret to all parties.
Good. Well, that was a good job done. And then you went into mega planning mode.
Yeah. Well,
Lots. Well, it was.
Yeah.
From this end, it certainly
half the
was.
couple did.
I think we had bought our gifts for our wedding party to ask them to be part of our wedding party the day. Literally, we went back to the hotel and then we were both on Etsy and Google, buying gifts for people so that we could ask them to be part of our wedding.
So were you buying gifts before you started a spreadsheet?
Yes.
Blimey. And that is a surprise.
Yeah, so I bought my bridesmaids and my maids of honour, I bought them a little necklace, and in the box it said, I couldn't tie the knot without you. Will you be my maid of honour bridesmaid?
Okay.
I bought those the day after we got engaged.
No time like the present, as they say.
Exactly. It was in the forefront of my mind.
And
yes.
it feels like you've organised it collectively, and it's been very smooth. It's been very few bumps in the road.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, I feel like every supplier we've met with and person I've spoken with, I've always said, I've been very lucky to have a former wedding planner as my fiance to take the handle. But I actually have been as involved as I would like to be. I've certainly
come to all the
made
meetings.
decisions. And
Yeah.
I think in terms of being a modern man with no practical man skills, as we've said earlier, I am quite interested in weddings and things like that, so, contrary to some other folks out there. So I feel like I've been involved.
I think you also have to have somebody that is more involved than the other one. Otherwise, you could get a lot of conflict.
Someone that's making the decisions, and
Or
then someone who's just along for the ride.
Well, not necessarily. Somebody who's allocating jobs, so delegating stuff.
Oh, we do that a lot.
Yeah. Sorry, we do that a lot.
I'm team leader,
Yes, exactly.
and I delegate the majority of the roles, to be honest. Most of the things on the Trello board that I made, you did get allocated, to be fair.
So spreadsheet and a Trello board.
Spreadsheet and a Trello board. The spreadsheet was for the budget. The Trello board was for the job list, which is clear now.
I should
As
hope
of
so.
today, I think.
Good.
Tomorrow.
I'm not going to pretend I have looked at that frequently over the course of time. But
It's fine.
I fulfilled all the tasks I was set.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main thing. And I'm reminded of a friend of ours who
You've
know.
not actually, sorry. He's just lied there.
What?
The hoop toss is still in the shed.
Okay. Well, it's bound to be something.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too important, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I am reminded of a friend of mine who, when they got married, the husband-to-be had one job, and that was to organise the transport from the reception to the hotel. And he didn't let on about what he'd organised. So he and his wife are stood outside the reception waiting for the car to turn up. Everybody's around them. They're all quite jolly because obviously they've had a drink or two. And in the distance, they can hear this car coming. And it's a Reliant Robin three-wheeler. So, which only has front doors. So they've both got to climb in the back of this thing. And off they go. And the husband and wife who own the car have both turned up. So there's four of them in the car. And they're not the most powerful of things.
Oh, God.
So they're sort of chugging along. And then the owner says, oh, well, I've just restored. And obviously they had a name for the car, which I can't remember. And then the wife got out the book, the scrapbook of all the pictures. And they were going through the pictures of the restoration to two people in the back that really couldn't give a monkeys about the whole thing. And that's the one thing he had to organise. And that's what happened. So I think he's been absolved of any responsibility for organising anything ever again.
I mean, it's a good way to get out of being in charge of organising. It's like
Good strategy.
when you start a new job and you make the first round of teas, do it badly and they'll never ask you to make a round of tea again.
No, very true. This is the same man that decided to cycle back from the pub and didn't make it, ended up in a ditch with the bicycle, and also lost a trailer from the back of the car because he didn't hitch it up properly. So
That's quite
he's slightly incident prone.
full house.
So what do you think's been the biggest challenge?
I mean, I don't mind jumping in there.
yeah.
I don't know if you're referring to the biggest challenge in terms of dating Laura.
Well, I wasn't going to go for that, and I think I'd wait until after Saturday, Chris. Sorry, Duckboy, before
Yeah.
coming out with that one.
I don't think we've had many challenges. I think occasionally having to compromise on things, but even that's quite rare, actually.
yeah. We've been very lucky that our families are both whole families.
Yeah.
There hasn't
Yes,
there's
yeah.
no kind of politics on who can sit where and who can't sit where. And
Yeah, the table plan, actually, we did that
We had
in
no issues.
5-10 minutes and completed it. There was we had the whole board laid out.
yeah, we were
to
ready
move
for like a
people
good
around.
hour slog to get this table plan
Yeah.
done, and it literally took us like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That was to write the names out. It wasn't
Oh,
even
that's brilliant. Oh, that's really good.
placing. So yeah, I think we've had quite a smooth ride of it. I think also like both of us working in weddings before, we knew kind of the order to do things.
Yeah.
And the fact that even though we got engaged a year and a half before we booked like the date, which is now, well, will be tomorrow, we knew to do things quickly, not to leave it, just to get everything booked. And then you have time to like do the little bits and faff about with stuff. But the longer you leave things, the more stressful it gets because people don't have time.
No, absolutely. And if you're set on a specific date, then you need to book early, otherwise these things go, and then you've then got to rebook a whole load of stuff.
Yeah.
When wife of Grumpy and I got married, or planning to get married, we had this one particular date in mind, and I think it was the only date they could do. So we had a married at the registry office, or the official bit at the registry office, and then a blessing in the local church. And I think that was quite restricted on dates around end of May. So we had to have this date, and we had to have this specific time for the whole thing to work properly on the day at the registry office. So wife of Grumpy decided the best thing to do would be to turn up the night before the office opened for that date. Because you could only do it so many months
You can't,
beforehand,
yeah.
and spend the night in the car, which sounds like something really romantic, but it was awful. And this is years before we had films or anything on mobile phones.
Oh, no.
So literally you sat there, you couldn't put the light on in the car for long because then you'd end up with a flat battery.
Yeah.
Going for a wee was a bit of a nightmare. But apparently it was very common practice at that registry office for people to turn up the
queue
night
overnight.
before. So we started at about 8 o'clock on the Sunday night. We didn't see anybody until 6 o'clock in the morning. So we could have turned up somewhat later.
6 o'clock in the morning.
And they didn't want the same time anyway. So the people that turned up for opening, none of us wanted the same time.
Yeah.
So, which is
Brilliant.
okay. But
That's all right though.
yeah, that was all right.
But crazy because I feel like that's not how you do it now.
It's probably not. This is before Tinternet and all sorts
Yeah.
of online malarkey. Which
Yeah, so now you email in, you like put a submission in for the dates or time of year you're looking at, and then they call you once they've kind of,
Okay, yeah.
they call you in like month batches. So when you get close enough to your date, they'll call you. Or if they're not that busy, they'll call you. But if you like submit a date that's in 6 months' time, they'll call you back straight away.
Yeah.
So they do it on like how far away your date is.
Yeah, I think the problem we had is that we could book the church early and the reception, but we couldn't book the registrar until 6 months or something, or a year before. Something
Yeah.
along those. So turning to the day, so it's all in one place, which is brilliant.
Nice and easy.
It's all in the marquee for the reception and the
Yes.
activities, which I think is superb, because we've been to weddings where it's been a bit spread out and you've got a superb band and there's virtually nobody in there because people are at the bar, but everybody's
Yeah.
As
together,
have
which I think
we.
is really good.
That's one of the reasons, because obviously where we met was a wedding venue, and that would have been nice, but it just logistically isn't what we both wanted. And actually, I think, again, we knew too much about behind the scenes of how
Yes,
the weddings
yeah.
go. I don't feel like we would have enjoyed it as much.
No.
But yeah, exactly that. The dance floor's in a separate room to the bar, and everyone just sits in the bar,
Yes, yeah, that's
obviously,
right.
because everyone loves a drink at a wedding.
Well, it seems to. I quite like a dance, but
We know you like a dance.
tends to clear the floor. That's the
I
only
can't
thing
remember.
I have to say.
Well, it's a big marquee, so plenty of space for extravagant moves.
When I was talking to my seamstress about my dress, we were talking about walking down the aisle, and I said, "Oh, my dad's a bit of a slow walker, so it'll be fine. I won't run down the aisle. No, like that's probably not an issue." And then she went, "Oh, does that mean you won't do a dance then with your dad?" And I was like, "No. He's a slow walker, but he's a quick dancer."
Well, there's a lot of momentum. That's the only thing I'll say.
I think I'm yet to see you dance, actually. I don't think I've seen
Oh, you're in for a treat.
I've seen them on video once, but never with my own eyes.
No, I suppose not, actually.
Well,
I mean, I was already excited about the wedding, but it's just ramped up a notch now.
Superb. So talking about walking down the aisle, we covered squeaky shoes in the last episode.
we did.
Well, I'm pleased to say the shoes that I'd ordered online,
Oh, yes.
which I said I wasn't going to do, turned up, and they fit very well.
Good.
However, I tried them on, I was wearing some jogging bottoms with elasticated ankles.
Yes.
And wife of Grumpy looked at them and said, they look like clown shoes. Which I thought was a bit harsh. She did apologise the following day for the comment, but I thought it was quite funny. But they do look quite long.
I believe wife of Grumpy has reached an age where she says what she's thinking
Well, I'm quite okay with that. I think
and
that's...
doesn't really think too hard before she says it.
No, well, it would take a lot to offend me.
Yeah.
So the shoes are sorted and shirt sorted, and we're trying suits on Sunday.
So live
Turned up today?
Yeah, live action
Excellent.
response. The suits have now arrived, and they are
Brilliant.
present here. So that will be with you shortly.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to trying that on. Mincing around outside in the mud left over by the gas board who are digging up the road at the moment. So. Perfect. We turn to the day. What are you looking forward to most, do you think?
Well, I can tell you what I'm not looking forward to.
Okay.
Most. The actual ceremony part. No offence.
Getting married.
The actual
to you.
marriage bit.
So why is that?
I'm just nervous about walking, everyone looking at me, having to talk in front of everyone. My main thing is not actually the talking, it's the listening, taking in, and then repeating. Because the registrar obviously says a line and then we repeat the line.
Okay, so what we could do then is to write it with a Sharpie on some big cards. I can stand back a bit, out of sight of everybody else, and I'll hold them up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm not very good at reading either, though.
oh, that's true. Earpiece then.
Earpiece. Yeah.
You haven't got to
That'd be
say
fun.
much though.
I don't think I've been to many weddings where somebody hasn't
made a mistake.
stumbled a bit on that or made a mistake and got a chuckle from the crowd. So I'm sure
Yeah.
the crowd,
The crowd.
the audience,
Crowd, yeah, the audience.
the hundreds of thousands in attendance.
A chap I worked with when he got married, he passed out at the altar.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
which was apparently had a bit of a reputation of doing that. Slightly
Passing out.
strange gentleman.
I'm a little bit worried as I have a slight tendency to get a bit emotional at these things. But at the same time, I'm acutely aware of that. So I'm really doing everything I can not to get emotional. But then now you're saying if I'm not getting emotional, it doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place now where I feel like I need to make myself cry but keep it in check somehow, which is a fine line to walk.
Well, you can always do a Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking that must be the solution to this.
Or just go, I don't cry.
Well, I don't cry. That's the thing.
No.
I don't cry, but I have been very emotional the last week. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes.
Well, after a few glasses of champagne.
I am mostly looking forward to the speeches, actually.
Oh dear.
I'm intrigued. I think because I don't have to write one, I just listen to all of them. I'm kind of like anticipating them.
Okay. So, Duckboy, have you had yours timed?
Not by
officially.
somebody else. I've timed it myself a few times, and I think I'm 4 to 5 minutes, depending on
Okay.
laughter and response.
Yes, yes. I put a pause in for laughter. I was rather
Could
perhaps
be 3 minutes in
optimistic.
that case.
Well, it depends. Come out with utter nonsense or not.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everybody else's speech, but not so much my own the delivery. But I'm sure the other ones will be enjoyable.
So unusually, and much to the so-called Toastmasters' displeasure, you're having the speeches before we start eating, so after we sit down. So you have got a slot before the food starts to arrive, which is why we've had to time stuff. But I was intrigued to find out the Toastmaster doesn't actually toast anybody.
No.
So I'm perturbed about why he's called a Toastmaster.
I think he may have used to,
Well,
but when he was
I feel like he'd be happy to tell you.
He would be. If you
Oh,
asked
dear.
him, he
Very
would,
passionate about his toasting.
and his traditions.
Hmm.
He's lovely though. Well, he doesn't toast. He introduces us to the room. So like everyone goes in, sits down, and then he introduces us in.
He gave me quite school teacher vibes.
He did,
Very
like
much
headmaster
so.
vibes. Yeah.
So don't worry,
okay.
I'll get them in check. I'll tell them where they need to be.
Yeah.
There'll be no stragglers on my watch.
And he said, I'll do it nicely unless they stop listening. We were like,
Oh, okay.
He said, it depends how well behaved your guests are
Oh, dear.
as to the seriousness of his tone.
So is he there up until we eat, or is he there?
He's
after that
there up until after the first dance.
as well? Oh, okay.
And he introduces us. He gathers everyone for the cheese cutting,
Okay.
then moves everyone over to the dance floor, which are right next to each other, so that's not really a job. And then he goes after the first dance.
I was going to say how long I timed my speech. However, there are some members of our family that like to open a book on how long speeches are going to take.
Yes.
So just in case
Just
they're
in
one of
case.
the 6 people that listen to this podcast, I'm keeping stum on that one.
Yeah. You keep them. I'm sure there'll be lots of betting on how long. A few of my friends that know you well think that yours is going to be a decent amount of time.
I think it's safe to say that I was banned from using any sort of pictures or projector, which is fine because I think they're a little overused, to be honest. It's quite fun the first time, but it gets a bit... You feel like you're in a presentation then.
Yeah.
And then I came up with the idea of using a T-shirt camera. And I don't know why. I think it's because I've always wanted to use one. I'm just trying to shoehorn it into somewhere. But we decided after thinking about it that probably wasn't a good idea because they have to be quite explosive. They come out at quite a speed, that's what I mean. And there's glasses and cutlery and crockery and stuff. And we don't want a big damage bill.
Well, that just comes out of our insurance. But
Wow. Well, it's too late to organise one now. But that could have been quite fun, but I think it could have been disastrous at the same time. So.
And knowing us, it would have been more disastrous than good fun.
I think you're probably right. So after the day, you're off on honeymoon, traditionally.
Yes. So
The
we've got
following week?
we've got them the Sunday to pack up, Monday to repack, and then Tuesday we fly in premium economy to Maui in Hawaii
Via Seattle.
but
Oh, nice. Do you stop over in Seattle, or is it...
we don't know.
No.
Just swap
We don't
planes.
even get out the
I'm claiming
airport.
it. I'm going to claim I've been to
We're
Seattle.
there for less
but-
than an hour.
Yeah.
I don't think you can claim that.
I don't know
can.
what type of the culture I'll take in and absorb in that time, but I'm going to claim it.
Yeah, I think so. That's fine.
Get blown over. It's known as the Windy City, isn't it? Seattle? Or is that Chicago?
Oh, no, that's Chicago.
It's rainy, Seattle. I don't know if it's known as the rainy city, but I know it's rainy.
I just know it's the city where Fraser came from.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you land in Hawaii. And
Yes.
That sounds superb.
Yep, we get presented with leis
Very good.
on arrival.
And it is the home of my favourite piece of clothing.
The Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah,
You would be right at home there.
I would.
I have bought a few shirts in your style, actually, specifically for Hawaii. So they may make an appearance over the summer when we're back.
Is that in decent cotton or the printed sort of polyester that seems to be quite popular?
Combination, actually.
Yeah,
so there are
a
some in the
mixture of
polyester,
both.
which are the cheaper ones, which probably won't
Last year.
No, I
last
do.
or wear so well.
No, but what amazes me is how well the print lines up. And I have just ordered one where it's the lineup is very, very important. So I'm looking forward to that one arriving. But
Yeah,
the
you are the
size is a
king.
bit of a lottery.
You're the king of the fancy shirt, to be fair.
I wouldn't
Yes.
say fancy.
Well,
Exotic.
Not the word I would use.
colourful.
Yeah.
Colourful.
I have my own style.
Yes.
And then Hawaii for how long?
For 7 days,
Fantastic.
we're going to go to a luau and a restaurant and hopefully do some scuba diving.
That'd be nice.
Yes. And a big tree. We have to go and see a big tree, apparently.
Oh, is that the oldest tree in the world or
Yeah.
something?
You want to go somewhere for sunrise. Optimistically.
Yeah, optimistically. We'll see how we
ambitious for
feel
you,
when we're
yeah.
there. Yes,
And
so
then
7
from
days.
7 days there and then back via
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Do we have to say that the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah, you
time?
do.
Every
That's
time
You
where
we
we're
do.
say
going.
that,
We're going to
yeah.
Yeah.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah. And what you have to have is a taxi with a massive sunroof, you have to stand up and shout Vegas Baby at the top of your voice as you roll into.
Oh, it's really good you gave us the tips because I didn't know I had to do that. So
Yeah, you do.
really
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely have to do that.
We won't be in a taxi because we are flying to LA and then driving
Oh, okay.
to Vegas.
Oh, so hiring a car and
Hiring a car. A Chrysler? Corvette.
lovely.
Lovely little Corvette. We're given a tip of not to hire a soft top because it's too hot. So you have to have the roof closed to have the aircon on.
Okay, so it's pointless.
So it's pointless. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we just got a fancy car instead.
very nice. Mm-hmm. Excellent. And how long in Vegas?
Technically 4 days, which people keep telling us is too long, but we are doing a helicopter trip to the Grand Canyon
Brilliant.
on the first full day we're there. So technically only 3 days.
We've got quite a packed schedule whilst we're there, actually. So
Yeah, a friend of mine did that. And he videoed it. We had a massive, great video recorded a very long time ago, and it was incredible. He thoroughly enjoyed it. Well worth
Really
doing.
looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
really good. Area 51 at all?
I don't think so. We weren't planning
that
on
wasn't
it.
that wasn't on the agenda. I don't know.
Is that on the route to Vegas?
Well, I've no idea. I don't know how close it is because America's just vast.
Yeah.
And they'll think nothing of travelling a vast distance to see something.
I know. Last time I was there, quite a few years ago now, we went for dinner and it was like an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, I think nothing of that.
Yeah. 20 minutes is too much for me to go for dinner.
Yeah, I can't work out how far it is. As you just said, Duckboy, it's under wraps, very good. But
Yeah.
it does seem odd that it's full of secret stuff, and yet it's the most well-known place full of secret stuff in the world. But good. And then back home for the summer.
Yes.
Hopefully,
Hopefully
nice.
hopefully back home.
Hopefully back home, but hopefully back and it's nice weather.
Yeah.
Is more the
Well, let's
point.
hope so, because it's been pretty grim. Now, Duckboy, you had a wedding quiz, which I've been looking
Yes.
forward to.
I was told about this about 10 minutes ago, or 10 minutes before we started.
Well, the thing is, if you knew about it before, you would have tried to find the answers.
Exactly.
Well, all I knew it was
exactly
a quiz.
my point.
I said, is it a quiz about us? Is it a quiz about weddings? I didn't know what the quiz was
Yeah,
about.
you see, the question started straight away. Now, Duckboy has learned that the best thing to do is just to keep still
too like
until
my
the
mother.
last minute. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who's answering these questions? Me?
You're both answering.
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Are we having a buzzer?
I haven't got a buzzer
Is it
sound
Duckboy?
effect.
No,
Duckboy,
it's not.
is
You
it
both
Grumpy
give an
versus Lippy?
answer.
Okay.
So I've got 5 questions.
I'm
on...
writing down the scores.
No, you just need to tell me. It's fine. Well, you can write down the scores.
Yeah,
if you
I wanna
like
know who's
okay,
winning.
Okay, of course. So the reason this came about actually is because when I learned I was going to be on the pod, I asked Laura, "Do I need to prepare?"
On the pod?
The podcast,
Pod?
the pod. That's what the
Sorry, listeners, we invited an expert.
And I know Laura doesn't always massively prepare to spoil the illusion there. So I did some research on weddings because I thought this might be a topic to cover during the podcast. So I've come up with some information.
What was that?
Was I timed out?
No, I was queuing up another sound effect, which was one that we recorded from Laura, which is, and it just played. I wasn't expecting it to play. So it's kind of spoiled that one, really.
No, I like it. It's very apt. So with that in mind, I've got 5 questions on wedding data statistics according to a survey by Hitched to give them some free
Oh, I love Hitched.
advertisement. So the person gets a point for the closest answer. So I'm going to give you a sort of a statistic or something I'm looking for a percentage of.
Okay.
Get both your answers. Listeners, cast your vote now on who you think is going to win out of Lippy and Grumpy. Okay, so question number 1. What is the average guest list number to weddings in the UK? This is
The average.
See, are we talking about like a white British wedding?
I can't give you any more information. Other
No,
than
it's a
this is
British
survey on UK weddings from
Yeah.
2022.
That's a good point. That's changed.
Because if
the-
it's like a Asian British wedding, that's like millions.
yeah,
I'm going to go 82.
82.
Yeah, because people invite 80 people and then they forget about themselves.
Okay, so and you're going for the closest. So I think it's higher. So I'm going to go for 83.
So I could not be more impressed right now. The answer is 81.
Oh,
That is quite unbelievable.
oh, you definitely deserve that point.
I do.
Well, no, you're either side. Oh, no, so
No,
83.
no,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry,
No,
of course.
well, I was actually going to go for 125, but because you've gone, obviously there's only two answers, 81 or 83.
Yeah.
Well done. So that's 1 to Lippy.
Smashed that.
Very impressive. So in which case then, should we alternate on who gives their answer first?
Yes.
Good idea. Yeah.
Good plan.
So I'm looking at all the rest of percentages. So I'm looking for a percentage of couples married who didn't live together first.
Oh.
Cohabit.
Cohabit.
I'm going to say 10%.
I'm going to say 39%. I think it's weirdly high. It'll be weirdly high.
It's weirdly accurate again from Grumpy at 10% on the nose.
Oh, the nose.
Really impressive. You know your weddings. You've done your research.
No, just luck.
So does that tie the score at 1-1?
Yes, it does.
So this one, I'm looking for a percentage again. Couples that met online via a dating app that were married last year.
Oh, just last year.
Oh, that's a tricky one.
I'm going to say 52%.
I'm going to say 51%.
Such a little cheat.
No.
The tactics paid off because it was 26%.
That's quite low.
Yeah, surprising.
Thought it would be low.
So I take it 2-1 to Grumpy. That's just an important one. Percentage of all weddings, or I'll rephrase that, millennials make up which percentage of all weddings? And for clarity, as I know this is a hot topic,
Yes.
millennials here have been counted as 25 to 34.
Oh, so last year.
Yeah, so of all the weddings last year, what percentage did millennials make up?
45%.
I'm going to say 44%.
It is a whopping 68%,
Wow.
Wow.
which does give Grumpy an unassailable
Win.
lead. There's
does.
one final bonus question, which I thought you would enjoy, which is, you'd be surprised, there are, of the weddings surveyed last year, there was a percentage that were alcohol-free. What was that percentage?
7. If it's a British wedding, 7. Like, they are alcohol fueled.
Well, they are, but Muslims don't drink, for example. So that's...
But that wouldn't be an alcohol free wedding.
Well, possibly could be. So you said 7%. Well, I'm not going to do my trick of just going one either side. I'm actually going to say 13%.
Very good again. 11%. So 1 in 10. That seems quite high, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think I won.
I think you did win.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you
I don't
very
know
much.
if you've got have you got a noise for that?
I have got some clapping. Yes, hang on. And we'll have a bit of cheering as well. And we'll finish off with... I do like the sound effects.
Very good.
Yes. We don't get to use them that much.
I forget they're there, that's the problem. And then I suddenly remember and overuse them. So, wedding special over.
Yes.
We wish you all the best for tomorrow and for the future. And we're very much looking forward to taking part in your special day.
Excited.
So excited. I don't know what to say for once in my life.
Got lost for words there. I think it finally set in. It's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye.